Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Thank you again for staying with us. I am joined by Colin from Ubisoft Montreal. Hello, sir.
Hi, how you doing?
We are talking Watch Dogs 2,
Yeah.
a game that I just recently played and I'm pretty jazzed about.
Yeah, the event in the press event in San Francisco.
Fitting in that
Yeah.
it's the setting of your game.
Exactly.
I feel like you guys planned that out from the start.
Yeah, we did actually. When we were actually on Watch Dogs 1, and we were doing a press event, and a bunch of us were walking around in San Francisco, and we were going, we should do a game here. We should try to do the sequel here. This city is so awesome. It's be perfect for it.
It's perfect open world fodder.
Yeah.
Before, I do want to, obviously I just want to chat with you about the game, but
Sure.
the reason why we're here today in New York City is that we just recently revealed PlayStation 4 Pro. Watch Dogs 2, of course, is going to be leveraging some of that technology. I mean, what is that like for you guys as developers? I mean, what is the Pro letting you do?
Yeah, so, well, I mean, as a developer, it's always really exciting when you have more GPU and hardware to work with because it allows you to see the game and kind of render the game out and be more true to the vision that you have. I mean, when you're developing a game, you start off with very high-res assets, and then you kind of pack them into the game, and you can sort of try to get it all to fit and fit into the frame rate and the memory and everything like that. And so when you see the game on the PS4 Pro, it's like so much closer to our vision. The details there, it just kind of pops off the screen, and I don't know, it's just kind of, it's so cool to see your work like look that shiny and spectacular.
Just glowing.
Yeah.
It just glows. And actually, I really like that because truer to our vision is, I think, an important point to make there. Because it's not just about like if you have a 4K display or not. It's also about like that hardware being able to push a little bit harder and kind of showing off what you guys have done from the source material.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Well, there's so much detail in the world, in the city, the texture detail that's in the buildings. But you know, like San Francisco is a very bright and vibrant place. You've got a lot of beautiful areas like Clarion Alley, where you've got this beautiful graffiti, and you have all these people walking around, and every area is different, and it's the differences in these details. So if you really want to feel that difference when you're looking at it on on a much higher resolution, it feels more immersive. It feels more real.
But of course, Watch Dogs 2 is also available on PS4 Standard. It's going to look great and play great on both. So let's talk about the game then, because that's obviously why we're here. Tell me a little bit about what your role was on this project.
Okay, so I'm the animation director, but I also take on the role of Living City direction as well too. So basically, that's all of the animation for the main character, the AI in the game, but also the civilians who are their own form of AI. And then combining that with all the different clothing and kits, because it's a very diverse city, so you want to feel that each person is different as you go around. So, the people in Chinatown are different than the people in the Tenderloin, and the people in Silicon Valley are different than the people in Oakland, and they act and talk and behave and, in some ways move differently.
That's like a huge amount of responsibility, dude.
Yeah.
That is a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
How do you have the hours in the day for that?
Well, we have a really big team for that, and
team effort.
Team effort for sure. No, absolutely, and we have people that are just dedicated to going around and looking at each area, and just the time it takes to just go around the whole world and just study each area and see if it matches the planning that we did. And we have huge Bibles of artwork to kind of show us how each area is going to be different, so we can coordinate all the the character meshes and and also to coordinate with the world, because the people in the world have this symbiotic relationship.
So then tell me a little bit, because obviously this game is kind of very near and dear to me already, because it's set in a place that I've lived for so many years, right? Were you guys just chilling in San Francisco for like just forever, taking pictures, studying? I mean, tell me a little bit about the research process.
Well, we did 2 scouting trips to San Francisco, but of course, we have the edge.
That's it. That's all you needed.
It's all we needed, because.
But you have a team, and
we have a team, but we also we travel there a lot because our one of our offices is there, and but it's also a really easy city to kind of like. To study online, right? We have a lot of tools online, and we have a resource team in Paris that helped us build a research tool that allowed us to kind of go street by street, city by city. We could look at things like the crime statistics in certain areas, and all this data we brought in from public resources, and it's all streamed into this tool that we have called the World Texture Facility, and it helps us basically understand how to build a world. But yeah, a lot of it is just being on the grounds. I walked around San Francisco and the Bay Area actually for a couple of days with a big 70mm lens, just shooting photo after photo of people, just to try to understand how people are different. What is the difference that we're going to feel as you move through each area.
So then tell me a little bit about Marcus Holloway, our hero here, because he's quite different from the original hero in Watch Dogs.
Yeah, well, you know, San Francisco is a new city with a new, with a different look than Chicago, and you know, Marcus is a kind of a reflection of the Bay Area. He's you know, a native of Oakland.
And he's Oakland.
Yeah. And native of Oakland, and he's a talented young hacker. In the story, we're playing as DedSec, and DedSec was the hacker faction from Watch Dogs 1. So we've kind of flipped the stakes a little bit. And but Marcus has been singled out and profiled by the CTOS system as somebody who's dangerous, and he's not. He doesn't start out being dangerous, and so. This is kind of like part of his quest to sort of show and expose to people what you know, big data could do to us, how that could be treating us unfairly, and how it could be you know, singling him out, singling all people out.
Absolutely.
So this is really the story of the game is the story of Marcus, is the battle against, you know, corporations that seek to exploit us through our data, through technology.
So then, yeah, absolutely. And then in terms of the hands-on time that I got recently, which we alluded to earlier, you know, one of the things that I really loved was just the new ways, the kind of contextual hacks that Marcus has available to him. I mean, there's a lot of new stuff in this game. I was hoping maybe you could touch on some of that.
There's one of the big feedbacks from Watch Dogs 1 was that players wanted more depth in the hacking. So each hack that you do is contextual. And so there's a simple function that you can do. You press the shoulder button and it will hack. But if you hold it, it gives you a whole variety of options. And then you can start to combine options, right? So you know, you can set traps for guys, and you can lure people in, and you know, you can create some fairly complicated patterns with all the different hacking options. And most of the objects in the world are fully hackable, and they're drivable. You know, they're not binary. So this makes the game a little bit more complicated to play, but gives the player a lot more choices and freedom to play.
So what's that like to balance that out then? So, I mean, you are enabling the player more access to the world, but in turn that means that, like you said, it's a little more complicated.
Well, you have to build it in a very systemic way so that the audience, the players can basically do what they want. So you can't restrict them in any way. You have to say yes to everything. So in a way, we kind of have to just trust the player, you know. But
don't screw this up. Well, grab them by the lapel.
Yeah, but then they will do things that we don't expect.
Yeah.
But that means that everybody's experience of Watch Dogs will be slightly different, right? So it's not a binary game. It doesn't play out the same way for everybody. I may go in and absolutely, you know, destroy everybody in a layout and cause chaos and mayhem. You might go in and just sneak in with your drones and completely go in undetected, and any combination of the two things could happen.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And then tell me a little about the alternative play styles, because that's one thing that I've, you know, when I was talking to some of your colleagues about, I mean, the sort of difference between combat, stealth, like drone hacking. I mean, these are pretty different ways to approach one given situation, right?
They are, and you have to design the levels in a way that allows the player to kind of play and have a good experience in any way they want to play. You know, we have a saying that we don't want to work hard to say no to the player. We want to say yes to everything. So if you want to play like all guns shooting, and use your IEDs and explosives and combine everything together, you can just kind of go in there and create a lot of chaos and mayhem. But if you know, you have the drones and you have all of the objects in the world, and as you start to combine this together, you can play this either trickster approach where you kind of use your tools to take people out, or you can just go completely ghost. And you know, it's kind of a challenge to play it that way, because you know, it's a little bit more. You got to think a little bit more, but also the tools allow you to play in a way where you're not always falling into combat. You know, sometimes in a stealth game, you're forced to go in, and as soon as you get spotted, you get shot. Well, you know, you can play most of Watch Dogs without even, you know, a lot of areas you can play without ever even entering the layout. You can do it all remotely through the drones, through the hackable objects, you know, and there's just like an endless number of options that you can try.
That is so rad. I love that. I'm just more and more pumped now. That was the whole purpose of this interview, by the way, just to jazz me up for launch. So then tell me a little bit about the other thing that you guys were showing off recently was the bounty mode. Which
the
is
online mode.
Sort of online, both cooperative and competitive element to Watch Dogs 2. Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
So the mode that you played was the bounty mode, but we also have seamless co-op, and we have the invasion mode as well. So those are the three modes. So the invasion mode is similar to, is pretty much the same as when in Watch Dogs 1. where a player will invade your game space and will try to steal your data. Then we have the co-op mode, which you played with one of our demoists, and she probably saved your butt a bunch of times.
Actually, we tried to go stealth, and it failed miserably, and I think I got her in a lot of trouble. But that's okay. We made it.
She was prepared for that.
She was.
So that, but then co-op is a great way to sort of tackle a lot of the open world stories. But then you play bounty mode. So bounty mode is where one player basically has to survive against 4 other players, but you have the whole city at your disposal. All the hacks are available, and it's just complete chaos. So if you survive the bounty mode, the rewards are super, super high. Okay. So it's
awesome.
And when we were playing it, we were demoing it. There was just like, from the bounty mode area, there were just screams of joy and terror and it was so loud.
Defeat.
It was yeah. A game is good when it's in multiplayer, when people are screaming at each other.
Well, we're almost out of time.
Sure.
What may I ask? What is your sort of takeaway from the event today at New York City? Do you have any particular highlights or something you're really excited about?
Well, I'm just really excited that we can show our games, our game Watch Dogs, and also For Honor. We can show off how these games look, and we can and we're able to offer players the good PlayStation Core experience, but we're able to offer this enhanced experience. And I'm just really excited to play games that can look that good.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like, remember when the PS3 came out and it was in HD, and I remember people coming over to my house to watch me play because they couldn't believe how good it looked. And it felt like something. It felt like something.
Yeah.
It was an emotional experience in terms of seeing things that were so good looking.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'm also excited that I got to chat with you today.
Yeah.
So thank you, Colin.
Very cool.
It's great to have you here. And, of course, it's great to have everyone watching at home. We will have a lot of this content viewable in 4K on video on demand in the days to come, so stay tuned for that. Also, of course, stay tuned for more games here from New York City, including a little look at Mass Effect Andromeda. Do not go anywhere. You will not want to miss it. Stay with us.
PlayStation